Okay, good morning one and all. Today we are going to discuss something regarding history. Before that, I want you to subscribe my channel for more details and more concepts about our historic backgrounds. So it's not all about historic background only, it's about content, knowledge and more things. So don't forget to subscribe my channel Horario. So our first chapter on is based on American Revolution and other content. So I hope you understood where we going. Yes, it's none other than our first chapter of history in 10th standard. So depending upon that, I want you to think first thing. Think of a place or a certain situation where you are being felt that you are not being provided the freedom. Think like a situation like, it's quite hard. So depending upon that, I want you also to realize similar condition was there in America also. So today we are going to discuss about American Revolution. So you all see today's America as this. You can see it's North America, South America. So we are discussing today here upon North America. So from Europe, if you say this is Europe, how they may have reached our America's other portion or Northern America's portion. It's not by airways because it's impossible at that time. So it's of course by the land or by the sea. So land is also impossible because crossing sea, it's difficult. So at that time, some of the persons or sailors have started their journey to find new lands and make them capture under Europe. Likewise, there also happened in case of Northern America. Christopher Columbus started his journey. He's a Spanish sailor. He started his journey in search of Indians. But eventually, as his fate was not to reach India, he reached nearby continent, that is North America. And there what happened in North America, as Europeans have their point of view, it was not just for exploring the world, it is more than that. They were having something, ideas in their pockets, and they brought that idea into action. So what happened there? Christopher Columbus was just a visitor to this Indians known by him, but it was not Indians. Later they will be known as Red Indians, that is in North America. So likely what happened, other Europeans also migrated from there to our America with the help of Columbus prepared. Already the routes have been found out. And you remember who came to India in real. So I don't want to mention that portion, keep it left and coming to back to our America and its revolution. Later period what happened, these American, some of the countries is being divided into narrow portions. You can see here in this map itself, you can see the narrow coastal area portions were taken, occupied by these Europeans, and these were converted into 13 colonies like New Jersey, Georgia and many more, like 13 colonies. So think about that. They are having these 13 colonies being known as Red Indians, and from there they took away mostly what was their need. It was just for the sake of consuming natural resources and exploiting them. So the same thing was being done there also. They have taken these natural resources from America and shifted it to Europe and made it into finished goods and brought it back to the markets of America and sold it for profit. So this was a process being going on, and the people were not aware about what is happening, and East India Company was growing day by day growing, but suddenly they have turned up. This is not going to happen because some of the essentials were also being affected by this thing. What happened? Mostly Americans were using most tea. Tea was the one of the thing which was being certainly used by Americans in high amount. So this tea was also being posed to taxation. Taxation was being posed upon tea. So this tea has a major impact upon the population of America. So there the agitation began. There the feeling of responsibility came into the minds of Americans. They thought This is the way we have to react and make things go on. If this goes on, we will be just like slaves. So we have to live in slavery period. So they understood something have to be done, otherwise they will be given no chance of life. So there the thing comes, our tea party. So it's upon not having coffee or cup of tea or something. No, it's not having an evening tea or snacks. It's a tea party, or being known as Boston Tea Party. Why? Because it was happened in Boston harbors. Does anyone have a tea party in harbor? No. So it's not that. It's entirely different. Here the Boston Tea Party is about Boston Harbor, where the ships of Europeans were being damaged. Not only damaged, 342 chests of tea was being thrown into sea by the Europeans. 342 chests. Have to remember how much quantity of tea was being just thrown into sea. It was a protest showing the agitation that if you impose any more taxes to us, this is what our response is. So this is what they have been doing throughout these years by having Boston Tea Party. 342 chests were being thrown as a protest. And then what happens? Now the king of England came with a huge laws more to be implemented on Americans. So that law was included, Mercantilist Law. Why Mercantilist Law? What is this Mercantilist Law? Yeah, it's about the merchants, whoever is exporting or importing to Northern America, they have to follow certain rules which is being made by Europeans. So what that rule was being about, it's all about the certain rules which is shown by them was they should have ships which is belonging to Europeans for export and import purposes. They should follow the taxes which is being levied on Northern America in whatever quantity, and they should have imposed the stamps or whatsoever is being required for transportation should also be the one from Europeans. And one more crux is there, only the natural resources can be exported, and importation cannot be a natural good. It should be always a finished good. That was the idea behind this, what you can say, it's a conspiracy. So from there, they have not been satisfied this mercantilist law by Northern America, and they were just not so comfortable with this such kind of laws. They decided we have to react, and that was a reaction which we have already discussed, that was known as Boston Tea Party, which occurred in the year of 1773. Boston Tea Party was in the year of 1773. In that we will show you the concepts. Boston Tea Party, as we have mentioned, it was an agitation against the European law of mercantilist. In that 342 chest was being just thrown into sea. It happened in 1773, and eventually this was the start of American Revolution. So I hope you understand this content, where the revolution began, but it was not the end of revolution, because even they pleaded for the confidential conference, for continental conference. All these congress were happened in America, in Northern America. But even though with their plead or the suggestions which they have taken to the King of England was hearing everything silently, and eventually he was taking the knife from his behind and giving the brutality of their own conspiracy. So what they have done was, King was ready to send more and more army to suppress these Protestants. So that was the resultant of their plead. But at last what happened? This was an ambitious thought by King of England, and there the return of coming revolution started, and the seeds of revolution were grown there in the chief in commander George Washington. In the chief commanding of George Washington, mostly 13 of the colonies have came together and made that decision to stand against these Europeans, and they have to come up with such a power, they should let it down. And that happened eventually with the Treaty of Paris. That was happened in 1783, and eventually the Treaty of Paris was being signed between Northern America and England in the presence of King of England, in which they have suggested that yes, you are being provided some of the kinds of freedom from this colonial period, or so this colonial group of 13 countries or 13 colonial states, which we have shown in the map in their side. You can observe that 13 colonial states or whatever they are having in this period of rule by the Europeans there. And then after that, in 1786, they were totally given their own constitution, which was suggesting rights to them, freedom, expression, all these kinds were mainly reserved in their constitution. You can see the image of that constitution in the side, and depending upon the major concepts. So once again, I will summarize the things there. You have to understand what all things we have discussed. It was about American Revolution, starting from Christopher Columbus to the end of George Washington. And you know one more thing, it's an interesting concept. It's not belonging to your syllabus, but still for GK or general knowledge, you should be aware about Washington DC. And this Washington DC is a place named by this personality, chief in commander, it's George Washington. So these are the major concepts which you have to remember throughout the American Revolution and its consequences and all the concepts. So for our next concept like French Revolution, Chinese Revolution, and moreover other revolution, for that you please subscribe our channel and follow up the new updates. So up till that time, thank you.